Arsenal's injury concerns have continued to deepen after one of their stars has been ruled out for almost a month. Well, welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. It's always a pleasure to be back with you guys. Thank you so much for our new subscribers, the community members, the usual suspects, those that join us every single day, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. That's day and night, every single day for our respective live broadcasts. Thank you so much. And the usual suspects, the semi-usual suspects, and the irregular suspects. It's always a pleasure to see you around. So, today we are discussing Arsenal's injury crisis that continues to deepen. I mean, if anything did curtail them last season, it was their injury crisis, in addition to what was a narrow squad. Now, this summer they've done quite well in terms of broadening their squad, but that again is already facing injury challenges. They did get to kickstart the season without their Brazilian striker in Gabriel Jesus, who has been nursing that anterior cruciate ligament injury and has been undergoing rehabilitation for the last 7 months. He did put out a video of him doing some light training out on the grass, individual training, and said he did really feel very, very nice to be back. He felt like a baby getting to live his dream. Now, while they continue to miss him, there's a player who has almost not been even mentioned within the Arsenal ranks ever since he joined the club. Now, we did watch him in pre-season. That's Christian Norgaard, who joined from Brentford for about £15 million, £10 million being the guaranteed fees. He had a very wonderful pre-season, as far as my assessment is concerned. But ever since the season started, 2 games in, and he's not been anywhere within the match day squad. Why? Out through injury, although not much has been said about his inavailability or something like that. But reports do suggest that it has something to do with injury. So if it is any other reasons other than injury, we've not been told otherwise, but that's the belief around that. Now, while we were still on that, in the aftermath of the Manchester United game, we did learn that Kai Havertz had suffered a knee injury whose prognosis is yet to be determined. Up until this stage, we are still in the dark. We do not know how long he is going to be out for. Is it going to be a matter of weeks? Is it going to be a matter of months? Arsenal still trying to hold it out. They're trying to do their tests and etc. They're waiting to see how he does cope in the coming couple of days. They're hoping that whatever the injury case is, it doesn't necessitate surgery. There were some earlier fears among the Arsenal fan base that it could be an anterior cruciate ligament injury. We're talking about a player who missed literally nearly 4 months of football last season after undergoing surgery due to a hamstring injury that he did suffer in late January when they had gone for that Dubai mini season break during that camp. So that's Kai Havertz for you. It's a knee injury. We do not know to what extent. We do not know how long he's going to be out. I think the club are equally, in some respect, in the dark about the extent or the gravity of that injury. But he's out for now. He's out of action. And while we're still on those 3 being out of action, then we had Martin Odegaard suffer that shoulder injury that sort of even saw him fail to complete the first half in Arsenal's 5-0 victory against Leeds United over the weekend. And he was subsequently replaced by Ethan Nwaneri, who had a very, very good second half, must I mention. So that's another key starter out of the game. I mean, we're talking about players who, if they're all fully fit, they could start in that Arsenal team. And we're not talking about just, assembling bodies, but, players that are really, really capable of going to any stadium, or even if it is at home at the Emirates Stadium, and winning a match of football. When you talk about Christian Norgaard, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, and now Martin Odegaard, the captain. And then in addition to that, Bukayo Saka seemed to have pulled his hamstring, and he's expected to be ruled out for at least 3 to 4 weeks, depending. And while for Martin Odegaard, the shoulder injury that he did suffer, they say is not as serious and could be available for selection for the weekend game that will be up against Liverpool at Anfield. The same cannot be said for Bukayo Saka because he's being ruled out for weeks, at least up to 3 to 4 weeks being the bare minimum. Now, I understand that given, the Liverpool game, maybe he can forego that, but it's a big game. Big games require you to have your big players, and Bukayo Saka doesn't come any less to Arsenal in that respect, but they'll have to cope with that. Unfortunately, he did suffer that hamstring injury and is set to be out of action. The advantage for Arsenal is that after that game against Liverpool at Anfield, we will be going for the September international break, which does last nearly a fortnight. You missed at least one weekend without football, but you always want to have your best players at your disposal and to give yourself an even better chance to go ahead and win games. Now, am I really worried about Arsenal given their injury issues recently? I'm not too worried because they've been able to expound on the squad, but also I'm sort of concerned on the part of my season prediction. Remember, I did predict Arsenal to go on and win the Premier League title, and I did say that it will require them to have one luck on their side as well as consistency. Now, the luck that they need is in part to do with injuries, among other things, really, for which you may need luck for in the game. But injuries being a very, very crucial part of it because they are what cost them, a formidable title pursuit last season. And given that you're just starting the season 2 weeks in and you already have 5 players down through injury, is not an encouraging sign, really. However, I must note that now they've brought in good players that can replace all those. Now, in the absence of Christian Norgaard, we're not talking. Then nobody is literally talking about him because Martin Odegaard is available and playing. He's playing the 90 minutes. In the absence of Martin Odegaard, you can rely on Ethan Nwaneri. You can, pull on Gabriel Jesus, who recently joined the club. He can play in that role as the attacking midfielder. In the absence of Bukayo Saka, you have Norgaard and Ben White, and we saw him really, really show his brilliancy, especially in the few minutes that he played on the right flank after Bukayo Saka had been withdrawn, and he was sent to the right flank, and then Leandro Trossard came in at the flank. I thought he had a very, very good couple of minutes, and it did show that that's his most comfortable position to play in. Whilst he was being a bit less effective on the left wing of the game. But also, even with Norgaard and Ben, you still have a backup of a youngster in Max Dorman, who again was very electric last in that game against Leeds United, in that he even won a free kick for them, he won a penalty for them. So at least you have to back up players in that regard to cover that space. Then I think in the absence of Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz, you do sort of worry for their attacking lines because that means that they only have Victor Gyökeres, and we all know he did not have a decent preseason as compared to majority of other players due to his transfer saga that seemed to have gone on for literally for almost forever and things like that. So, however, then it leaves you the option of having to look to Mikel Merino, who we all know is a left-sided midfielder, or number 8, as you would love to call him, to be the makeshift striker. However, I think Mikel Arteta will take solace in knowing that if he has played Mikel Merino quite successfully in that role, then he can, push Gabriel Jesus to play in a similar role. As you know, Arsenal's target man, if need be. But I think in a broader perspective, I think they are covered for some of those positions as compared to what they were last season. For people that were critiquing Arsenal's expenditure on Norgaard and Ben, or why they even made a move for him to sign him as a backup, critiquing that why would you spend £50 million to sign a player that is going to be a backup for Bukayo Saka? Well, his hamstring injury should be now telling you why Arsenal were intentioned on making that move. For me, I saw it as a very, very sensible move and one that will pay off in the long run. So now that Bukayo Saka is out, you're not going to be overly worried. Now, it's not to say that 1 and 2 are the same players, but at least you consider yourself covered in that role. Anyways, guys, do let me know what your thoughts are about Arsenal's injury crisis. Do you think there is a reason for concern? Do you think they are well covered in those respective positions as I have assessed them, or do you have a difference in opinion? Otherwise, do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.